Hey guys, Malagian here. On the last weekend I had the chance to compete in Challenger Qualifier number 1, and I didn't do very well, but I had good fun. Anyway, this is not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is that organizers, CDPR, asked us to give some feedback. And I wanted to record my feedback and suggestions, so I decided to record this video. Without further ado, let's begin. Let's start from the very beginning. 36 hours before the qualifier, its date was announced, and it was supposed to start at 10 a.m. CET. Even though I understand that it's very inconvenient for both North American and South American players, I think that it's reasonable to accommodate the majority, because most of the players were from Europe and Asia, and therefore quali was set to be in the best time zone for them. However, American players should be given an opportunity to adjust their time schedule to the qualifier. And I strongly believe that the qualifier should be announced at least 1 week in advance. This way, players could get used to play in unusual times for them, so very late or very early, and they could minimize negative effects of playing in these conditions. So the first change, announce the qualifier at least 1 week earlier. Now let's move on to the tournament itself. I really like that Discord channel was created for all the players. I think that it was a good tool to communicate with admins and with CDPR. I think it was also an improvement that in this room we had CDPR members, Thor Serpent and Burza, both were there, so it's really nice. And what's more, I think that Gwent team or RU Gwent team did really good job as admins. I think they were really good and responsible. Besides maybe some things, but those weren't their fault, and those were fault of the rules, I believe. So what disappointed me is that the rules were unfortunately unclear again until the very end, and there was some confusion regarding deck changing in a single match. It got resolved by Thor Serpent, but it was 30 minutes before the tournament started, so it was a bit too late. And before that, people had like different interpretations of the rules. Some thought that you can change your leader to a third one. Some thought that you can only play 2 leaders, and overall, it was quite unclear. So I think that the rules never should remain unclear until so late. Therefore, my suggestion to prevent such misunderstandings is something similar to what Henoche, shout out to Henoche, mentioned in #feedback channel. We could ask some players to analyze the rules before the tournament. So the rules should be sent to them, and they should be given the opportunity to ask as many questions as possible. And also, more examples should be used in the rules to show how they should work in practice. Overall, admins did good job. I think Discord server is a good idea, but rules could be, the system behind the rules could be changed a bit. Another controversial thing is termination in Switzerland. In my opinion, ties were allocated too strictly. And I understand that tournament can't last forever, but tie is usually equal to a loss to both players. So I think that after the round is technically over, admins should contact players who haven't finished their matches yet and ask them about the progress. If the match is in process, players should be given the opportunity to finish it. And if it's far from over, if they haven't started, then ties should be a last resort, and then they should be given a tie. Gwent Masters qualifiers are tournaments with quite a big stake, because the winner gets to qualify to a big tournament, and therefore the results shouldn't be decided by ties unless it's really necessary. I also suggest to create a rule that gives players maximum 5 minutes from the beginning of the round to start their matches, and now it's 10. And I think that it could help to avoid problems with too long matches. And if the match can't be started due to some technical issue, admins should be contacted immediately to let them know that players are attempting to start their match. And admins should, of course, and try their best to solve the issue. And now let's talk about the most important thing, that is tournament format. And I think that nobody is fully satisfied with the system at the moment. Best of 3 is very unrewarding, and no leader declarations and no banning is simply punishing towards players who prepare extraordinary lineups. And at the moment, playing those tournaments in best of 3 format feels like playing ladder. And tournament play and ladder play should be different experiences, I believe. I had much more fun playing tournament than playing the ladder, and I'm pretty sure that many people share my experience. So, what's the problem also is that at the moment the qualifiers are almost irrelevant in comparison to Pro Ladder. Pro Ladder is the entrance to almost all the tournaments. Almost all the spots are taken by Pro Ladder top 8 players. So, yeah, the problem is that really it only matters for the 12, maybe 10 players who play for the top 8. So it's not simply not worth it for anyone else to play it. So I have several suggestions to rework Gwent Masters system fundamentally, while making Pro Ladder a more interesting experience and making it not the only experience for competitive players. And this idea is a result of discussion we had on Team Aretuza Discord. By the way, I will put the link in the description because it's a great competitive environment. And if you are new, you can find some answers to your question as well. So I strongly recommend joining. So there are several people who support this idea, and I can't wait to hear your guys' opinions on what we have created. First of all, we came to a conclusion that making a qualifier, an open qualifier for Challenger, which is tier silver tournament, is really not very logical. I think that the qualifiers should be made for tier bronze tier tournament, which is Gwent Open, and we decided that the best solution for that is to make 5 players from the Pro Ladder qualify instantly, and make a qualifier for 3 extra slots. So the reason behind that is that nowadays the qualifier for the Challenger makes only one Pro Ladder season interesting. I know that now they divided it to 2 qualifiers, and one will only count players that are top 200 within the first 3 weeks of March season. But I don't think it's a very good idea. I think that it should be started from the basis, so from Gwent Open. So by making 5 ladder players qualify, we don't ruin the Pro Ladder system in general. Like, if you are a good Pro Ladder player, you can qualify to Gwent Open. You can fight for those top 8 places, and top 5, I'm sorry, and qualify anyway. But we give an extra opportunity to qualify through the qualifier. So, first of all, I think that the qualifier shouldn't be open to top 200 players. You can be a terrible player and get top 200, and this is not an achievement at all. You can literally forfeit your matches with one faction if you have decent results with other 3, and you will get top 200. I think that the qualifier, getting into the qualifier, should be challenging. Therefore, we came to the conclusion that it would be the best if the qualifier was for top 64 players. So players, as mentioned here, players from positions 6 to 13 would be given a ticket to day 2 instantly, and they don't have to play Swiss in day 1. So even if you fail to get into top 5, you get the reward of having easier way through the qualifier. Then players from positions 14 to 64 play in a Swiss best of 5 system, best of 5 format, sorry, to fight for top 8. So the cutoff is for top 8, and 8 best Swiss players join players from Pro Ladder in day 2. Yeah, so as you can see, we decided that best of 5 would be the best. And if you, the other advantage of limiting the players in the qualifier is that you don't need to play 8 rounds of Swiss anymore. With 64 players, it's actually less than 64 because 8 players are instantly in day 2. You only need 6 rounds of Swiss, meaning that you can play more games per round within the same time. So best of 5 is definitely more rewarding system towards players who prepare their lineups, and it's of course less random because Gwent, even though if it's really skill-based game, it's a card game after all. So sometimes you will just get worse hands than your opponent. Sometimes you will just get coin flipped, and you will stand no chance against things that are not really dependent on you. So best of 5 lowers the importance of those factors and rewards the better players overall. So yeah, within the same time, we can play best of 5, which is, I think, good. I think most competitive players will agree with me. Of course, best of 5 with a ban. I didn't mention it uh, in the video here. It's here. It's here. But ban is, I think, really essential to healthy tournament system. So when we go to day 2, we have 16 players, top 8 from Swiss and 6 to 13 from Ladder, and top 3 should qualify to Gwent Open. It's easy to determine top 3 because day 2 should be played in double elimination system. So in double elimination brackets, it's really easy to see who is the third person because finalists of losers bracket are second and third, and winner of winners bracket is the person who is first. And to make crown points a little bit more relevant, we decided that maybe players should be awarded small number of crown points for competing in a tournament, but that's something that should be looked into. And yeah, I'm not so sure about this idea, but I think it is definitely worth a consideration. So in our suggestion, we decided that the qualifiers should be made mostly for Gwent Open. So in this case, it means we have 2 more slots for Gwent Challenger. Now, since Gwent Challenger is Silver Tier tournament and Gwent Open is Bronze Tier tournament, qualifying to Challenger should be more difficult than qualifying for Gwent Open, at least in theory. So we kept the qualifier in our suggestion, but it's a bit different. In the Gwent Challenger qualifier, we decided that the best group of participants would be all Gwent Open and top 16 of the qualifiers participants who are not qualified for Gwent Challenger yet, who would play in a Swiss best of 5 with a ban system, with cutoff for top 8, and 2 best players would advance. As simple as that. It rewards people who have already proved themselves and gives them an extra chance to go to the Silver Tier tournament. And again, I think that awarding crown points to the top 8 would be a good idea. But it's something that needs to be considered, but I won't go in detail into this. I will leave it to somebody who feels competent enough to design the point system. Anyway, that's it for now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and share the video if possible. I hope together we can make Gwent Masters system a bit better. And I'm really looking forward to how CDPR responds to my and my friends' ideas. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching.